So that's you channeling what, an angry spirit, or
channeling an individual male person who's now a spirit person. He was like that in life. We later found out through different ways of communication that his anger was built out of basically what he did in life, and what he did to other people.
So he was a terribly bad person.
He was quite an evil person.
So when that person's spirit comes into you, do you feel it entering you? Like, is it like eating something? And again, I'm just trying to get it, because I haven't a clue what it feels like, right?
Yeah,
so I don't know. You're going to have to explain it physically. What is it like when a spirit comes inside you?
Okay, well, generally, just the moments before channeling, I've already spoken to Sam and said, right, you be to the side of the spirit person. And it's like as if I step back 3 or 4 paces, like I'll go backwards. And then I feel the energy, it's like a warmth of that flow of spirit energy coming in and going to the forefront. So that spirit's there, I'm at the back.
Now you meet...
It's my consciousness.
You meet the guys, the bad guys, and this is going to sound like I'm having a laugh, I'm not, but like, have you ever met Frank Sinatra? I mean, I'm intrigued, you know.
Well, I did a show. I did 2 shows at a place called the Vogue Theatre in Hollywood Boulevard. And the second show I did there was naturally an audience, and it wasn't like investigating like Almost Haunted. It was an evening of clairvoyance. And Frank Sinatra, would you believe it, actually made a contact.
How?
Well, just come onto the stage.
In what shape?
Well, in the shape that he was. In other words, at first I got a voice from him, and I'd asked him who he was, and he said, Frank. I didn't get the surname. I didn't see him, but I said out to the audience, there's a man here. He told me how he passed, gave me his first name. When he showed himself, I looked and I thought, my God,
so
you know, it's him.
A ghostly image of Frank Sinatra, is that it?
I saw a spirit, Frank Sinatra, yeah.
And how is he?
At the time, he was fine. He was great. He was more interested, in actual fact, in how his family were doing and the squabbles that were going on, and told me a few things which really, really shook his niece that was in the audience. And she stood up, wasn't content to sit there, and she said, you know, animated, the Americans are, aren't they? Oh my God, he's right. It happened in our house, and oh my God, it's so true. Now that same niece asked for me to go back to her house the next day to discuss if I could make a link with him again, because it was important because of his what he was leaving to the family.
Yes.
It was really, really
it's extraordinary.
extraordinary.
Like when you also went on the set of Coronation Street,
yes.
And there was a kind of comeback tour of some of the
yes.
recently deceased cast seemed to all come up and have a chat with you, which is, again...
Well, yeah. What actually happened, Ryan, was I got a call from the head producer of Coronation Street asking me. At that time, I was actually doing work for Granada, but the Sky side of Granada. So I was in a different building. But I got a call from the producer one day saying, we've got to keep this quiet, hush, hush. Yeah. But we've got big problems around the Coronation Street dressing rooms. And I said, how? Will you come over? We'll keep it quiet. I walked over, across the walk, and I spoke to the producer. And I said, well, I'll go and have a little walk round the passageways. And I picked up spiritual presence. That's like, whilst I was there was a man, a workman, an electrician, was doing something with one of the lights in the passageway. In front of my own eyes, the ladder went from under him, and he dragged, like that to keep his body weight, and he couldn't. He dragged the wiring through the ceiling and dropped to the floor. It could have been a terrible accident. That actually happened in front of the people that were there with me. I went back and did a proper investigation over 5 or 6 hours, and I met 3 ex-cast members that I'd already passed over.
Which ones?
Oh, well, there was Pat Phoenix, used to be Elsie Tanner,
yes.
Walker, the old lady,
Annie
Walker, and one that was causing all the problems, and that was a man, a male actor, that used to, his name was Adams, Fairclough.
Len Fairclough.
Len Fairclough.
Yeah.
And Len Fairclough was so bitter against the television company when he got finished his contract, because certain things were happening in his life, and his contract was severed, And he held that resentment even after he passed over the worlds of spirit. So when all the problems were happening at Coronation Street over people were going to lose their jobs, all the actors, these 3 actors, 2 of them came through sincerely to say, tell the bosses to behave themselves and pay them the money. But Mr. Adams, or Adamson, was the one that was causing problems with people falling from things, cups and things being thrown in their green room, all kinds of things. And I had to persuade that man to leave the atmosphere. He told me he wouldn't. He cursed, he did everything with me. And we had to send him eventually out the atmosphere. I didn't have to do that with the 2 ladies. They went very gladly. After I told them, I'd report back to the bosses what they said.
What about the people who think that this is complete nonsense, that think that dismiss you and your career and other psychics as kind of charlatans who are peddling kind of rubbish, basically, and who just simply don't believe? They're not interested. They just think it's complete nonsense. Does that annoy you?
No.
Or do you think that they are...
No. Everyone's got a place in our society of thought. To be a sceptical mind is healthy. It's showing that you're using your brain power. I can't do anything about skeptics. I can't do anything about cynical minds. Sam said to me many years ago, Ryan, Derek, to the believer, no proof is necessary. To the non-believer or skeptical mind, no proof is possible. Then he said to me, when a spirit manifests in front of a skeptical mind, absolutely manifests, and talks to that skeptical mind, what do you think the skeptical mind will say to another skeptical mind 5 minutes later? And I said, what, Sam? And he said, he'd say, it was a hologram.
I want to look at the audience here. I just want a poll, a kind of straw poll of the audience in terms of skepticism. Just briefly before we finish this in. Hands up who believes all of this, all these stories that we've been hearing tonight. Hands up everyone who thinks that the whole psychic and the channeling and all that sort of thing is true. Can we take a quick hand? Nice and high now, if you wouldn't mind. That's about, what, one quarter of the audience, would you say, Derek?
Yeah.
Or more?
Maybe.
About a quarter or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about that small number? Now, that wasn't a setup. I just said I'd just be curious. Do you think that the other 3/4 are just waiting to learn?
I should imagine, it's only my opinion, humble opinion, I should imagine maybe a number of the audience would have to put themselves in a situation where they could find out for themselves other than just from a distance. How do they do that? Well, in many ways. They could go to an evening of clairvoyance where a medium, links with the world of spirits. They can go along for a private reading with a registered spiritual medium.
Have you been to an Irish house, castle, hall where you felt this place is overrun with ghosts or spirits?
Absolutely.
Can you tell us one example?
Well, yeah, Charleville Castle.
Okay.
Charlottesville, yeah.
In Offaly?
Yes.
And what was it that you heard?
It was laden with spirit people.
Really?
Through its history. It knocked me for a six, it knocked me sideways.
What did you hear?
There was one very tender spirit person that I really wanted to help, and it was a young child, a little girl, who'd passed over tragically. And she was trapped in the atmosphere, and she didn't know any way out of this and what have you. And that was so touching. What mediums do, what a lot of people don't understand, and they don't understand, that's okay, is that in our work, we don't just do what we're doing. Behind the scenes, we will try our best. It's part of our work, our role, is to release people who have been trapped in the atmosphere that no longer belong here, that should be over in the heavenly state.
Okay. Derek, thank you for telling your story so succinctly and well this evening. The book is there. That's going to be on sale. It's called Extreme Psychic. That's your book, which goes on sale in Ireland on Monday. It's been a pleasure to have you on the programme. Thank you very much indeed. Derek Acorah, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Derek.